So here I have a brand new book to show you. It's the Q book of Drawing Flowers. It's by a lady called Bianca. I'm not going to try and pronounce her last name because I don't want to get that wrong. And it's published by Search Press. And you'll see here also Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. Now I love Kew. It's a wonderful place, and anything to do with botanicals I really love. I didn't really need another book on drawing flowers, but I saw this. Fail-safe lessons for drawing floral and botanical elements, for journaling, for stationery and for keeps. So this book has something a little bit extra in it. It's also got 144 pages, and it's suitable for anyone who is new to drawing flowers because it has step-by-step projects which will help you to improve your skills, and as you work through the projects they get slightly more difficult, but there is so much help in this book. Another thing I really like is it doesn't recommend any particular brand of equipment, so it gives you so much freedom to use whatever you already own, and you can start drawing with just a pencil or a pen. You don't need anything expensive. So we'll have a look inside. Beautiful thick card cover. Sort of soft touch here. I like this. It's very smooth and very vibrant. You're not going to lose this book on your bookshelf. So we'll open up and have a look. Now we start off with the contents. Meet Bianca, working in black and white, colouring basics, ways to approach the blank page and the importance of sketching first. We then have 3 chapters: anatomy of a flower, how to draw flowers, and flowers for journaling, stationery and wall art. And we have Meet Bianca. We can't actually see her. She's covered by this beautiful bouquet. And then we move into working in black and white. Now, it is very easy for drawing flowers. That you don't need lots of expensive equipment, as I just mentioned. And so we see here a pencil and a pen, and it also mentions digital drawing. Then we have colouring basics. Now there's not a huge amount on colouring because this is primarily a drawing book rather than a colouring book, but we have coloured pencils, watercolour pencils and watercolours mentioned. And here we've got gouache, acrylic paint and markers, and each one will tell you what type of paper you should be using as well. Then we have ways to approach the blank page. Now this is really important because so many people are scared of a blank page, of making a mess, of doing it wrong. Lots of hints here from Bianca, and look at her beautiful rose pictures in her sketchbook. Then we have the importance of sketching first. Now sketching is a wonderful thing to do, and the more you sketch the better you get. I just love these little illustrations here. Then we have chapter 1, anatomy of a flower. Now this book doesn't have any information on working from a photograph because it's always better to have a flower in front of you and study the flower and look at the shape and the colour. But for this chapter here, the beginning, we have some beautiful coloured photographs, and this is so we can really see the parts of a flower and just have a really close-up look. So we then move on to floral symmetry and identifying starting shapes, and I think this is so helpful. Now you do see in places the print gets slightly smaller. Now this shouldn't be a problem for most people. I can actually read it still, so just wanted to point out in case you have very bad vision that these little sections here is a little bit smaller than the rest of the print. So what is great in this, we have the different shapes of the flowers, and for each shape we have a box with examples of the flowers. So it will make it very easy for you to identify your shapes. And I said these lovely colour photos here. I'm going to flick through these ones. And then we have chapter 2, how to draw flowers. I really love the way this book stays open on its own because it just makes it so much easier to actually be drawing at the side. So we start with drawing curves because curves are so important in florals. and we have single curves and double curves. You'll see these little boxes every so often with Bianca's tips. Really important you read those, it'll really help you. Then we have shading. And now we start the step-by-step projects. Now we have 14 flowers, and then we have leaves and small scale flowers. So we start off with a fairly simple shape, the cherry blossom. And we'll just progress through those different shapes. Again, look for the tips. And each project has a box here with the marks on. Now these are the marks you need to practice. They are fairly easy. It's just getting used to making the actual marks with your pen or your pencil. And these are exactly the marks you need to create these lovely flowers. So always check out the marks. I think everybody loves a daisy shape. So some of these projects do have as a colour illustration at the end, and others are in black and white. But you see the marks get slightly more complicated as you work through. I do love these colour illustrations though, I think they're really beautiful. And every so often it will tell you here anything extra that you're going to need. So for this one you're colouring, so you do need some extra equipment. Daffodil. A modern splash of loose watercolour, that is very pretty. And we're getting to the end of the projects. And we have leaves, so a simple leaf with options, and then we have shading, and then we have our small scale flowers, and it says less is more, and we have these little steps showing you how to construct these small flowers, several different shapes. We move on to composition. And then we have chapter 3, flowers for journaling, stationery and wall art. I think this really lifts the book up a little bit from your everyday drawing book, because you've learnt to draw your flowers. Now what are you going to do with them? If you're new to drawing flowers, you may be a little bit stuck, but this chapter is really going to help you. So we have flowers everywhere. We've got journaling, and so many people journal these days. Wreaths and borders, patterns, full page designs, a flower arrangement, letters, personalised gifts, and modern minimalist art, which has a little peony there. And then we have the index. What a lovely colourful book. Now a book on drawing could be really dull, but this book is definitely not dull. I really love the cover, the colour illustrations, everything about it is very attractive and bright. And the content has a modern contemporary feel. I really like the book opens flat for ease of use, and it's got quality paper and the cover feels nice. The botanical advice is detailed with clear instructions. It's very easy to understand. There are plenty of line drawings to guide you, and the information boxes for each project show you which marks you need to practice to create the flower shape. Now Bianca is self-taught, and she's used her experience to make this book easy enough for a complete beginner to understand, and detailed enough for someone who wants to improve their botanical illustrations. And this is a basic drawing book, but there is nothing boring about this book. the Q Book of Drawing Flowers. It's a really good introduction to understanding flower shapes and turning a flat floral image into a beautiful illustration with form and structure. So that's the Q Book of Drawing Flowers.